talk today about eating disorders. On a semi-regular basis, I have people reach out who usually they're like, I've been wanting to reach out for a while now and I've just been nervous, and they're struggling with either anorexia or bulimia, and they tell me that my story is really inspiring. And what they all have in common is that they say, I don't know how to nourish my body. And whether that comes from just lack of knowledge of nutrition or lack of honor for one's body and oneself, I think it's usually a combination of the two. I think that eating disorders are more common than we talk about, or more common than one would initially think. I was held in an eating disorder unit at UNC Chapel Hill for an entire month against my own will. I was there for autoimmune issues at the emergency room, and a nurse petitioned with other doctors to have me sent and held in the eating disorder unit. And being there opened my eyes to a lot of things that I never would have known before. The main thing is that eating disorders, yes, sometimes it's just because someone wants to be skinny or they want to look a certain way. But I would say that's like 5% of the time. Whereas 95% of the time, there's an underlying reason that they are the way they are. There's an underlying reason that their relationship with food has gotten to what it has gotten to. And it opened my eyes to the fact that, you know what, I do have a lot of fear around food because I was having real reactions, and my relationship with food was unhealthy. I had developed a binge eating disorder after the eating disorder unit because the way that they indoctrinated and brainwashed me was so traumatizing. It made me question my own truth, my own reality, or what was the truth. It also made me realize I'm never going to be accepted by my family or friends until I gain weight. So I developed a binge eating disorder. It wasn't impulsive, it was very much intentional. I would lay out towels or blankets on my couch to catch any food crumbs. I would set up bottles of water and napkins and just a comfortable space, and then I would prepare a ton of ketogenic foods for me to sit down and eat in a relaxed manner to hopefully digest it and not have issues and be able to gain weight. That's what I did. And I would stay up until 5 a.m. And then it started to just become just so toxic. I would look in the mirror and be so triggered by the sight of my emaciated body. And that's what these pictures are that I share. The two pictures that I share the most are the two pictures that I took of myself, basically to tell myself, this has to change. This is real, this has to change. And it was so difficult to take those pictures, but I knew that it was me telling myself this is gonna change. It was me holding myself responsible. But yes, the mirror was extremely triggering. I did not want to be underweight. I had a chronic CDiff infection that was absorbing my nutrients and stealing nutrients from me for years. They didn't test for it until long after the fact. Even when the C. diff was discovered, I took antibiotics, I had 3 fecal transplants, and the C. diff was still seated in my gut. So what really healed it was Jesus Christ, faith, taking a leap of faith, dropping the ketogenic diet, which had now become an addiction, an idol in my life, and turning to carnivore. So I had to really surrender all the keto treats and the things that I felt like I had control of. So removing the anti-nutrients was huge for me, and it allowed me to heal and seal my gut and reverse the chronic C. diff, gain 65 healthy pounds in 1 year, reverse over 10 autoimmune diseases, reverse chronic Lyme disease. Oh, there's a spider on my wall. Ooh! I just killed a really big spider, and he was like white. All right, so back to eating disorders and my advice. Well, first of all, I shared that about myself to share that I have had an eating disorder. It happened after I was treated in an eating disorder unit because they told me things like, if I react to gluten, it's all in my head. I was eating 75% carbohydrates. They barely had any real fat. All of it was seed oils. It was disgusting. And I came out of there much worse. I had gained some weight, but I was much worse in terms of autoimmune issues, gut issues. I got a keto rash for the first time in my life. I developed a true binge eating disorder, and it was bad. I got to the point where, like, every time I drove in my car, I felt like I needed to be snacking on something, and just night after night after night, I would try to stay up and eat as much as I could without having reactions, without involuntarily throwing up. I had really bad ulcerative colitis, so I would eat and then I would throw it up, and that was happening near the end of my painful part of my journey. That was happening, and even in the emergency room, they were like, wow, you're really bad. They said, we're gonna have to remove your colon and hook you up to a feeding tube. But I did the carnivore diet, and all of that changed. I will say that I've truly struggled with that, and it comes from a place of fear. You are either afraid of your own potential, or you think you're not enough, and you're trying to be enough. You're trying to please others. You're trying to fit some standard that doesn't exist. You're a perfectionist. You have OCD. You're dealing with OCD. I definitely was. But it's all rooted in fear. And once you discover who you are in Christ, all of that stuff goes out the window. You don't need to be a people pleaser. You are accepted. You are loved. You are perfect in God's eyes because of Jesus Christ. When you're a child of God, all of that stuff leaves. He says, my yoke is easy, because when you surrender yourself, you die to yourself, you also are alive in Christ. And it's a beautiful thing, and that is what set me free, was surrendering my idols and turning to God and saying, you're the only thing I'm going to put my hope in. You're the only one I'm going to trust. And in that, he gave me knowledge and wisdom and discernment. A light switch turned on, and he allowed me to heal with the carnivore diet. You've got to dig deep. It's coming from either trauma or something inside of you that is a lie. There's a lie. There's a lie at the root of it. So I would encourage you to work with someone who you can be open with and who you can trust. And then I would also encourage you to learn about proper nutrition. So the carnivore diet is awesome for people who have battled eating disorders, because gaining weight with the foods that we were created to eat versus ultra processed junk food, they're totally different. So I gained 15 pounds in the eating disorder unit. I was still really underweight when I checked myself out against medical advice. But even that weight felt so uncomfortable. I felt like tearing off my own skin, honestly. I felt horrible. Obviously, my blood sugars were all over the place the whole time, and they're like, this is normal. I didn't poop for an entire month, felt horrible, and they were like, it'll get better, just give it time. Like, that's literally what they told me. And it was a nightmare. With the carnivore diet, your blood sugar stabilizes, which definitely lowers inflammation, it supports your mood, and it supports insulin sensitivity. So you can actually gain healthy fat from eating fat and the proper foods, and you can gain muscle. You are no longer catabolic. You're no longer dependent on glucose. You have a calm mind. You have focus. This is a wonderful way to gain weight. I gained 65 pounds in 1 year. I actually got up to 155. I was up there. Even my chiropractor was like, you can slow down now. And I was just honoring my hunger. And I didn't change anything about how I was eating. I was honoring my hunger. Never did I restrict, but my weight came back down and sits around 125 naturally. I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight right now because I just had a miscarriage. I was pregnant. But I feel great because my hormones are healthy and I am healthy. My blood sugar is stable. I don't have cravings. I have food freedom. I sleep. I can focus. I'm productive. I feel good. I don't have pain in my body. All those things come along with eating a standard American diet. And so when people try to heal from an eating disorder by giving themselves permission to eat seed oils and excess sugar and candy bars and Nutella and all this stuff, it just totally pains me because I know that you don't feel good. It's a lie. What I pray for people to understand is that you need to learn how to support your body the way it was created. So we have to get through all these lies of what traditional medicine has told us, and just the dietary regulations are upside down. They put beef at the very bottom of being healthy, and they put, Trix cereal or something at the very top. Like, They're lying to us. They want us to be sick. They want us to be dependent on pharmaceuticals, and they could care less whether or not you have body dysmorphia or addiction to food. They actually want you to be addicted to crap. So part of breaking free and true food freedom is actually gaining that knowledge about nutrition and how to properly nourish your body. Whether you do it with carbohydrates or not is your choice. It's bio-individual. I choose to not consume carbohydrates because then I start thinking about them. I don't like living my life thinking about my next meal. I eat and then I'm done and then I live my life. When I start eating carbs, it's like, ooh, I can't wait to eat carbs again. I did it for a while and I don't want that. I just don't want that. Now, I tolerate them, every now and then I'll have a sweet potato or popcorn, but that's a treat and I don't crave it. I crave meat. I crave animal fat. I crave bones. I crave collagen. I crave salt. I crave minerals. And those are what really satiates me and supports me. So when you want to properly nourish your body, you have to actually learn about, well, where do we get our bioavailable nutrients? It's from meat. So there's a lot to undoing the lies that you're living in if you're suffering from an eating disorder. Part of it is mental, your relationship with yourself, maybe your relationship with others, and your need for approval, and part of it is just your misunderstanding about nutrition. But I want to share with you that there is hope. No matter how far along you are, I've worked with people that are really, really stuck in it, in this cycle of addiction. And you can do it, I promise. I have heard it said from multiple sources that you never really heal from an eating disorder. I promise you, I am free of any eating disorder. So there is hope. And if you want to learn more, if you want a coach, I would be thrilled to help you. And I would just encourage you to not give up. You need to pursue better health for yourself. You have a long life ahead of you if you make the right choices. It's not too late, and there is hope.